Welcome to the deep dive. You've given us your sources, and we're here to extract the essential knowledge. Today, we're tackling a really crucial area: how organizations should be thinking about governing artificial intelligence. Our main resource is the ISO IEC 38507.2022 standard, and we're going to zero in on Clause 6, which is all about the policies you need to have in place for using AI. Think of us as your guides through this important information.
That's right. If you're looking to grasp the fundamental principles behind responsible AI implementation within an organization, Clause 6 is really where you need to focus.
Yeah.
Our goal in this deep dive is to provide a clear and insightful explanation of this clause, breaking down the necessary policies into digestible parts. Consider this your accelerated path to understanding the policy backbone of AI governance.
Okay, let's get right into it then. Clause 6 of the ISO IEC 38507.2022 standard is titled Policies to Address Use of AI. Seems straightforward enough, but well, as we know, the important stuff is often in the details. Section 6.1, the general part, tells us that this entire clause is centered on the policies required for governing AI use within an organization. It's about setting the high-level rules, not the day-to-day operations.
Exactly. And a key point here is that these AI-specific policies should be a reflection of the organization's core values, ethical considerations, and overarching guidelines.
Right.
It's about adapting your fundamental organizational principles to the unique context of AI. And while management will be responsible for implementing these policies, the standard itself refers to other ISO standards for the detailed how-to on aspects like social responsibility, ensuring trustworthiness, and managing compliance. So it's a connected framework.
That makes sense. So the policies are the foundational principles, and then other standards offer more specific guidance on implementation. Okay. Now let's move to 6.2, which covers governance oversight of AI. This feels absolutely vital. You can't just introduce AI and hope for the best, can you?
Precisely not. This section emphasizes the critical role of the governing body. Think of the highest level of authority within your organization responsible for setting strategic direction and overseeing performance. That's the governing body we're referring to. They need to have clear visibility into how AI is being used.
Yeah.
And the standard highlights a key point.
Yeah.
The governance structures you have in place for traditional IT or, other business functions might not be entirely sufficient for AI.
Oh, right.
The evolving nature of AI demands a different kind of oversight.
Okay, here's where things get really interesting. The standard points out that while the management team will likely select and implement specific AI tools, the governing body needs to establish the guiding principles. It highlights three crucial areas where AI use introduces new considerations for this governing body: significant strategic benefit, significant risk with potential harm, and additional obligations. Why are these three areas so particularly important?
Well, these three areas serve as essential filters for the governing body when it's considering AI initiatives. They need to constantly ask, does this AI application offer a substantial advantage in achieving our key strategic goals? Equally critical is, does this use of AI introduce significant new risks that could potentially harm our stakeholders, our customers, employees, or the wider public?
Right, the harm aspect.
And finally, does this AI implementation create new legal, ethical, or regulatory responsibilities for our organization? This forces a holistic view beyond just potential gains. And for you, our listener, understanding this gain versus pain versus responsibility triad is kind of key to grasping how AI governance should function at the highest level.
Right. It's not just about the cool technology. It's about the broader impact, the potential downsides, and, well, the new responsibilities that come along for the ride. Okay, let's move on to 6.3, which focuses on the governance of decision-making. This is where AI can really transform how an organization operates, isn't it?
Absolutely. AI systems are designed to analyze data and generate probabilistic outcomes, which in turn can automate decision-making processes. The standard emphasizes that this can have far-reaching effects, potentially changing everything from the products and services you offer to your internal operational processes and even your relationships with customers and partners.
Wow, yeah.
The core insight here is that moving from AI as advisor to AI as actor demands a fundamental rethink of organizational control.
And the crucial point that really stands out is where the standard discusses AI potentially moving beyond just presenting options, actually executing actions without direct human intervention. That feels like a significant shift in how we think about control and oversight.
It is a fundamental shift. Traditionally, technology might provide information to assist a human in making a decision. But AI has the capability to take that next step and make decisions autonomously based on its analysis. While this offers potential for increased efficiency, it necessitates careful governance to ensure alignment with the organization's objectives, ethical principles, and risk tolerance. The governing body needs to establish clear policies outlining the boundaries of autonomy for AI systems in decision-making.
Okay, that makes perfect sense. We need to be very deliberate about where we entrust decision-making authority to AI. Now let's talk about the lifeblood of these AI systems.
Yeah.
Data. Section 6.4 addresses the governance of data use. This feels like such a foundational element. Flawed data leads to flawed AI, regardless of how sophisticated the algorithm is, right?
Exactly. Couldn't have said it better. AI systems rely on vast quantities of data, often sourced from numerous and varied locations. The sheer volume and complexity of this data often exceed human capacity for effective management.
Yeah, I can imagine.
This is why the standard underscores the critical need for policies governing not only how this data is acquired, but also how its quality is assured. With this increased dependence on technology to handle massive data sets, robust data governance policies become absolutely paramount.
So things like privacy, too.
Oh, definitely. Think about data, privacy, security, and the need to ensure the data is fit for purpose. All of these fall under this critical area. Remember, AI's intelligence is built on data. Flawed data equals flawed AI, period. Robust data governance is non-negotiable.
Right. You can't just feed an AI system anything and expect reliable results. There need to be clear guidelines about data sources, validation processes, protection measures, all that jazz. Okay, moving on to 6.5, we have culture and values. This might seem less tangible than the technical aspects, but it feels equally important for responsible AI adoption.
It is absolutely fundamental. The standard recognizes that for AI to be used responsibly and effectively within an organization, its implementation must be deeply embedded within the organization's overarching culture and values.
Makes sense.
Policies in this area help ensure that AI is deployed in a manner consistent with the ethical framework of the organization, preventing it from undermining the very principles the organization stands for. It's about ensuring your AI operates in alignment with your company's moral compass, basically.
Absolutely. You don't want your AI inadvertently acting in ways that contradict your core organizational beliefs. Okay, now let's move into the more formal aspects of governance. Section 6.6 deals with compliance. This is where the practical application of rules and regulations comes into play in the context of AI.
Exactly. This section highlights the necessity of having policies that specifically address compliance in the context of AI. It breaks this down into two key areas: compliance obligations and compliance management. So for you, the listener, as you integrate AI, these are crucial aspects to consider to avoid potential legal and regulatory pitfalls.
Okay, so 6.6.1, compliance obligations, is about clearly defining what those obligations actually are for the organization. Is that right?
Precisely. Compliance obligations, as the standard defines them, encompass both the mandatory requirements an organization must adhere to, such as laws and regulations, and the voluntary commitments it chooses to adopt, like industry best practices or ethical guidelines. So it's a comprehensive view of the rules and standards that apply.
Got it. Mandatory and voluntary. And then 6.6.2, compliance management, focuses on how an organization actually manages all of these obligations effectively when it's using AI systems.
That's right. Simply knowing the rules isn't enough. You need established systems and processes to ensure you're actively meeting those requirements when AI is involved. And the standard points out a significant challenge here: the increasing speed at which AI learning systems can evolve and change,
Right.
which can potentially outpace traditional human-driven compliance controls. This creates a potential gap that organizations need to actively address through their policies and compliance frameworks.
That's a really critical point. AI is so dynamic, so your compliance efforts can't be static either. They have to adapt too.
Yeah.
Okay, finally, we arrive at 6.7, which focuses on risk. Given the potential impact of AI, this is another area that demands careful policy attention and proactive management.
Without a doubt. This section delves into the crucial role of risk management policies for AI. It starts with risk appetite and management in 6.7.1, emphasizing that the use of AI needs to be considered within the organization's overall tolerance for risk.
Okay.
How much risk are you willing to accept with your AI initiatives? That's the fundamental question.
And that defined risk appetite then directly informs the specific risk management processes themselves, right? That's covered in 6.7.2.
Correct. There need to be robust risk management processes specifically designed to address the unique risks that AI introduces. This might involve adopting new risk assessment methodologies or, adapting existing ones to better account for the complexities and uncertainties associated with AI systems.
Then 6.7.3 talks about objectives, explicitly linking those potential AI-related risks back to what the organization is ultimately trying to achieve.
Exactly. The standard emphasizes the importance of understanding how potential AI-related risks could impact your organization's ability to achieve its stated objectives. What are the potential failure points, and how could those derail your progress towards your goals? It's about connecting the dots.
Section 6.7.4 briefly touches on the various sources of risk that AI can introduce. I imagine that's a fairly extensive list of possibilities.
It is indeed. Consider factors such as a lack of transparency in how AI arrives at its decisions, the whole black box issue,
Yeah.
or potential security vulnerabilities within AI systems themselves, or even unintended negative consequences resulting from AI actions. The spectrum of potential risks is broad and requires careful and systematic consideration.
And finally, 6.7.5 highlights the necessity of implementing specific controls to effectively mitigate those identified risks.
Yes. Once you've identified the potential risks associated with AI, you need to establish specific controls, safeguards, and measures to reduce both the likelihood and the potential impact of those risks. This could involve implementing technical controls like robust security protocols, as well as procedural controls like ensuring human oversight of critical AI outputs.
It's interesting that the standard also points out that AI can, in some instances, actually reduce or even eliminate existing risks,
Uh-huh.
such as the risk of human error in highly repetitive tasks. That's an important reminder that it's not solely about new risks. AI can also be a valuable tool for risk reduction.
Absolutely.
And the potential for risk reduction obviously needs to be factored into your overall risk assessment as well.
Precisely. It's a dynamic situation where AI can simultaneously introduce novel risks and provide solutions for managing existing ones. A comprehensive risk management policy for AI must take both of these aspects into account.
Okay, so we've conducted a pretty thorough exploration of Clause 6 of ISO IEC 38507.2022. It's abundantly clear that establishing well-defined policies across all these critical areas, from the overarching principles to governance oversight, decision-making, data use, culture, compliance, and risk, is absolutely essential for any organization aiming to adopt and use AI responsibly and effectively.
Absolutely. The key takeaway here, I think, is that effective AI governance isn't just a technical challenge, it's fundamentally a policy challenge at its core.
Yeah.
Understanding these essential policy areas provides a robust foundation for navigating the complexities of AI implementation and empowers you, the listener, to become truly well-informed about this critical subject without feeling, overwhelmed by technical jargon.
So here's a final thought for you to consider. Given the remarkably rapid advancements in AI technology, how can organizations ensure that their AI governance policies remain adaptable and effective not just now, but also in the long-term future?
That's the million-dollar question.
And on a more personal level, what proactive steps can each of us take to stay informed about these constantly evolving governance landscapes? It's definitely something worth pondering.
Indeed. And if this deep dive has sparked your curiosity and you want to delve deeper, we strongly encourage you to explore the full ISO IE 38507 standard and investigate other related resources. There is a wealth of valuable information available to further expand your understanding of this increasingly important topic.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive. Until our next exploration, keep learning and stay curious.